So in the previous episode, we built this hero section and the project section. So in this video, we're going to be building the about section and the skills section. So the first thing we'll be doing before actually building it, you can see that if I click on this project, it jumps to the project section, but we need a smooth scroll. So to do that, let me just go to VS Code and I'll go to the index CSS file and I will use the wildcard and say scroll behavior should be smooth. So now if I try this again and click on project, you can see that we now have that smooth scroll. So I will just shrink this to its tab and do the same like so. So the first thing we're going to do is to create this section for the about. So we'll go to the sections and we'll say about.jsx. I'll say rfce and we'll save, but on our own page it's not showing. So what we need to do is to go to the app.jsx and bring in the about section. And by the way, if you don't want to wait until the end of the series before grabbing the code, you can click on the first link in the description to get the code. So you can now see that your about is coming in. So we just need to go to the about and we'll change this back to section because it's a section, and we'll give it an ID of about and give it a class. It should be inside. So we'll say class name of pt32 to add some spacing. So inside this section, we'll bring in the container class so that we can have some spacing on the left and right. And inside there, we'll bring another div. And inside this container class, we'll create another div which will be responsible for displaying these side by side. So we'll add a display of grid so that this will be at the left and this entire content will be at the right. So inside this div, let's just give it a class or style it first. So we say at medium screens, we'll add a display of grid. Then we'll set the grid to be grid calls or set it to 2. And also add a gap of 8 and items will be centered. Then inside the div, we'll create another div again and give this a class of MB8, and on medium devices and up, we'll get rid of the margin bottom. I can now bring in the image and I guess, what did I call it? So quickly import it and say about image from assets about image.jpg. All right, then we can just pass it right here, say about image, and this will be the about image. You can be more descriptive with yours. I'm just writing this out. So if we save now, you can see the image is coming in, so we just have to style it. So for the image, we'll give it a style and set the object to be cover, and the rounded, we'll just give it 2XL. Then outside this div, we'll create another div again, which will hold the title. So now the title will be title. So the title will be about, the highlight will be me, then its center will be false. So initially, remember, it was set to true, so we'll just default it back to false so that it will be at the left. So everything is coming nice. The other thing we want to do is to add the text. So I'll copy this, and before we paste this, we also need to add this subtitle. So let me do it right here and say subtitle, say get to know me better. So if we check now, we should see that right here. And now underneath it, we can now add a paragraph and paste it in. And I think there's some line height here, so we need to add line height by saying leading, and we'll just put it to 7. All right, cool. So I think that's about that for the about section. So if we check on our desktop view, you can see that it's already coming in, and we can also easily scroll down to it. So ignore this not highlighting because this is still in view, so the project is still in view, as you can see. So if this is out of view, that's when this will pop in. And when we add this skills section, you'll see that the about now will be highlighted, so don't worry about that. So for the skills section, I have to shrink this back, and we'll just come to the sections right here and we'll say skills.gsx, and we'll repeat the same thing, and we'll go to the app.gsx, and here we'll say skills section, and this will be skills. So if we check now, you can see the skills is coming in, and we'll have to go into the skills and change this to a section, give it an ID of skills, also a class of pt32 to add some padding to the top, and we'll bring in the container, and inside the container we'll bring in our title, and the title will be, I don't know why it keeps adding this curly bracket, so we'll say the highlights will be skills, and the subtitle, I think that's a bit long, so let me copy it from here. So copy it and paste it here. So again, we're having an error, which means we need to change this to double quotes right here. I'll also leave a link to this live website on Netlify so that you can also make reference to it as well. So this is now coming in, and underneath this title we'll create another div, and we'll give this a styling of grid, and we'll set the columns to be 2 columns initially. Then on medium devices and up, we'll set the colors to 4, and we'll add a gap of 4 as well. Then on large devices and up, we'll set a grid equals to 8. Then inside this div now, we can map over our skills. Remember, our skills are inside this constant for file, so we can map through our skills and say each skill, we'll create a div, and we give this a key of skill dot id, and for the class we give it the display of flex items with center, gap will be 2, and we'll say flex core so that it should go like in a horizontal form. Then inside this div, let's display the image to see that something is actually showing. So we can just say skill dot icon, then we can just say skill dot name. So if we save now and check, you can see that everything is coming in, but they look quite big, so we'll add some styling. I will say the size should be 12. On over, we want to push it up by saying translate y, and we'll say 2, which is 8 pixels. I'll add a transition, so transition of transform, then duration will be 500 milliseconds, then ease in out. Then on medium devices and up, will increase the size to like 16. So if we check now, you can see that all of them have the same size, and if we hover on them, you can see that we have this nice effect. So underneath the image tag, we'll bring the span tag to pass in the actual name for each of the icon. So you can see the name, and the only thing we need to do is just to make it bold. So say font should be bold. So now if we preview on desktop screens, you can see that everything is now aligning properly. But the about supposed to be highlighted on this nav, but it's not working. So let me try it again. So we say about, okay, still on a project. So let's try skills, same thing. So to fix that, we'll just go to the about. I'll make sure the ID is actually working, because we can actually scroll into that. So we'll just go to the nav bar, and let's go through this again. So we're getting the top, and I think this should be less than, not equals to. So let's check now. So let me refresh this, and let's try it again. Still the same thing, so we still have to do more debugging. So we save the scroll position is greater than equals to. All right, so the issue is coming from here. This is supposed to be section top. So if I save this now and I try to scroll down there, you can see that it's actually working. And if this is out of view now, these skills will show, because it's not a view right now. So we can now check back. So I'm very sorry if you were trying to yell at me to correct this, but everything is working fine now. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. In the next episode, we are going to be building the contact section.